Welcome. This is Women's Virtue, and today is Saturday, December 5th. This is probably going to be one of the, I'll say, I don't know, everything we talk about here is controversial, but this is going to be one that is probably going to be hard to hear. But the great news is, when you see that person who always pulls their car out a little too far into traffic when they're trying to merge, and they have all those dents in their left bumper because their judgment has been off. This is going to be some truth that can help a lot of people individually, and it can help society. So the topic of this is there is no such thing as a fatherless problem in America. We have a lack of virtuous women. There are, I think I read, there's more than, I think the black communities have over 75% of their children are born out of wedlock. I think Hispanic is over around 50%. A Caucasian, I think, is in the 30s. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of it happening, and it wasn't happening 50, 60, 70 years ago. And so there's all this, fatherless problem, fatherless problem, fatherless problem. So not true at all. So I'm going to read a Bible verse from Deuteronomy 2. And it says, a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation he shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Now remember, since Jesus has come, people can repent. God had mercy with Rahab, and there's a lot of different things. But it just says a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation he shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. There's a lot of Old Testament things where what the parents do can curse the family for generations to come. So if somebody's father's worshiping Satan or gets an abortion, it can pass down, or there's incest, or we went through Leviticus 18, the 5 things: adultery, incest, bestiality, child sacrifice, and sodomy. All things that it said the earth will vomit you out. So we've gone over some courtship things. So let's look at when a man pursues a woman and falls in love with her and her heart, and she says no to premarital sex and no to fornication, no to sodomy, and this man falls in love with her, and let's say a year passes and they want to get married. He's in love with her, and she waits until they're married, and she has saved something very special for him. And here's the thing, even if you have not done this, you can start today. You can repent, and you can live a different way. And you could, even if you're involved with a guy right now fornicating, you can say, I want to walk with God. I'm going to stop. You know what? If he leaves you, he's the wrong guy, and there's somebody else out there who will wait for you. So don't even worry about that. So then a man falls in love with a woman, and then he marries her, and he has shown that he can provide, he can give, protect, cherish. He enjoys providing. He's not a tit for tat. You pay for lunch, I pay for dinner, I'll pay for groceries, you pay for the light bill. No. There's a lot of good men out there who want to provide for an appreciative, virtuous woman. And the men who don't, they don't have to get wives or children. That's fine. So when a man falls in love with a woman, remember, men fall in love with a woman's beauty through the keyhole of her virtue. So even though this is wrong, when a man cheats on his wife, a lot of times she'll stay. When a woman cheats on her husband, a lot of times he'll leave because he fell in love with her virtue. And one therapist I had heard speaking, she said it's very hard for a guy to get over the idea of another man in his wife's body. So when she has children, he falls in love with her children. I mean, he's his children, and he believes that those children are his because she waited till marriage with him. And like in Islamic cultures, they lock the women up because they don't trust them to not be promiscuous. So it's, men have to either lock you in the basement or trust you to be 100% sure that it's their child. There's no such thing as maternity court right now. There's paternity court because the men are the ones, the woman has the baby grow in her. She knows it's her baby. The guys are kind of hoping that it's their baby, because they don't have the same security that women have because the women carry the children. So when a man falls in love with a woman, her spirit, her heart, and pursues her and chases her, and by the way, ladies, when you walk with God, you're always a little bit different. So there's always a little bit of chase space that men have, because you read something in the Bible and you're, oh my gosh, I learned that. So there is a little bit about men that likes to pursue the woman. And so women will get all up in the lingerie and all that crazy stuff trying to be different that way on the outside. But when you follow God, you always are growing and changing, and you'll always be different. And there's somebody a little bit different for him to fall in love with and pursue and get to know. So those men stay. Those men stay because they love the woman, and the children are, and they trust that those children are theirs, and they love those children. They look like the woman that they fell in love with. But so many women will fornicate with a guy, and they hope that they're like, oh, I love him so much. Oh, I'm going to have his child. Well, this was a guy. Now, had she set standards for this man, he may have never pursued her. This may be a bum who doesn't have a job, who, doesn't, maybe he's a mama's boy, who knows, whatever. But he would have never gotten off his backside and pursued her. He doesn't even have the raw ingredients to fall in love with anyone. But she mothered him with her vagina, and he got in easily. He's never loved her. He's never loved her. He just wanted to do something that was easy, inexpensive, and felt good to him. And she thinks having this child is going to turn this guy who doesn't love her, who may not be really a great guy in any area of his life, that it's miraculously going to call him to be a better man. Well, the thing is, what would have called him to be a better man is for her to not have had premarital sex and to not fornicate. Because when you do that, only good men who have the energy and the raw ingredients and who see that woman or you as special, it's going to continue to pursue you, because that's a man who's in a give mode. He's give, protect, cherish, generous. Where a guy who wants to get in anywhere he can get in, that is a take mode. So when these women have children, and keep in mind the Bible verse we read, they have children under almost like circumstances that are going to curse that child. These children born out of wedlock, higher drug uses, end up in jail, suicide. They get involved in sex early. They get molested because mom's boyfriends are around that girl. And so it's just, we don't have a fatherless problem in this country. We have a lack of virtuous women, a lack of women who know how to say no to sex before marriage, no to all sodomy and pornography within marriage. A man should be able to provide for his family. And so if a man is not employed, if he has a drug problem, all these things, him being in a woman and getting her pregnant is not going to magically wave a magic wand and turn him into a wonderful father and human being. So right now, the men are considered the bad guys. But the thing is that it's these women. Women, you are the gatekeepers to life. Children do not get born unless you consent. And here's the biggest problem, is when a man gets in a woman's body, it is the ultimate form of acceptance. And you have just told that person, you are absolutely so wonderful and perfect that you don't have to change ever again. Women think that once they have sex with a guy, then they get leverage and they can get him to change. But what they don't realize is, once the guy gets in with them, his self-improvement center turns off. She has just signed the contract that you're great, you're good enough just the way you are. And then we have all these kids running around that are created under these really terrible circumstances, because either the women were trying to get the guy to love them through sex, or they didn't have the self-worth to know that they needed to stand with God and that a good man would come along. And again, don't get upset, people. You can repent. If you've done this, you can repent and you can start to walk with God, and your virtue will just spread through everything in your life and make everything better. Thank you for listening.